Washington, President Donald Trump and top Democrats edged closer to a deal to give legal status to undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children, but they disputed whether the outline of an agreement had been reached. The top two congressional Democrats, after dinner with the president Wednesday, said they had reached an agreement to pair the protections with border security measures but not funding for Mr. Trump's promised southwest border wall, which Democrats strongly opposed. In a series of tweets Thursday morning, Mr. Trump said there had been no agreement, but he repeated his desire to aid this group of young illegal immigrants who are currently protected by the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, which last week he moved to end. Even if Mr. Trump reaches an agreement with Democrats, it would be up to Republicans' congressional leaders to bring it to the floor and help sell it to their members. No deal was made last night on DACA, Mr. Trump said in his first early morning tweet. Massive border security would have to be agreed to in exchange for consent. Would be subject to vote. He said that the wall would be built, but didn't specify that it would part of the same package. And he underscored his desire for legislation to replace DACA, which was created by executive action under President Barack Obama. Does anybody really want to throw out good, educated and accomplished young people who have jobs, some serving in the military? Really? Mr. Trump wrote. They have been in our country for many years through no fault of their own, brought in by parents at young age. Plus big border security. Late Wednesday, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, D.N.Y., and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, D. California, said in a joint statement that, over dinner at the White House, they had agreed with Mr. Trump on the outlines of a deal to enshrine protections for these young immigrants into law quickly and to work out a package of border security, excluding the wall, that's acceptable to both sides. A deal, if it materializes, would mark an extraordinary moment for lawmakers who have been unable to agree on any immigration legislation for many years. It would also mark a striking step on immigration for Mr. Trump. He promised a hard line against illegal migrants in last year's campaign and last week killed off DACA, which now gives about 690,000 young illegal migrants work authorization and protection from deportation. At the same time, he urged Congress to find a solution for those affected before the protections expire in 6 months. In recent days, both sides appeared to be edging toward the formulation outlined by the Democratic leaders, with Democrats agreeing to include border security measures, and the White House signaling it would accept the immigrant protections without insisting that the legislation also include funding for the border wall package. Congress is now considering a request for $1.6 billion for next year toward that project. All day Wednesday, Mr. Trump courted Democrats on the subject, first at a meeting with a bipartisan group of lawmakers in the afternoon, then over dinner. Even before the Democrats' announcement of an agreement, these overtures had conservatives worried that the president would agree to a plan without strong immigration enforcement that Republicans favor. In response to those concerns, Mr. Trump said he was hoping for a bipartisan deal and planned to continue talking. Some of the greatest legislation ever passed, it was done on a bipartisan manner. And so that is why we're going to give it a shot, he told reporters Wednesday. At the afternoon meeting with lawmakers, Mr. Trump made clear he was interested in a bipartisan agreement, several Democrats present said afterward. They also said he appeared willing to consider the border wall funding separately from the discussion of the young immigrants but suggested he may want a package to include new limits on legal immigration. Representative Henry Queller, D. Texas, said that Mr. Trump also urged quick action. I don't want to wait 6 months, people forget about it in 6 months, Mr. Queller said, quoting the president. The issue has taken on urgency since last week, when the president set an end date for the 5-year-old DACA program. In March, its 690,000 participants will begin to lose their work permits and protection from deportation. On Wednesday, House Speaker Paul Ryan, R., Wisconsin, repeated his optimism that Congress can pass protections into law, saying it would not be in our nation's interest to kick these people out of the country. There's got to be a solution to this problem, he said in an interview with the Associated Press streamed live online. Mr. Ryan has said that the protections should be paired with border security measures, and he favors additional spending for a border wall. But he hasn't insisted on funding for Mr. Trump's border wall or mentioned any other contention.